On today's show, Kyrie Irving has reportedly demanded a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. Should the Dallas Mavericks be interested? Seems like they are. We'll talk about that and more in today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Oh my gosh, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. The best way you can help us grow the show is listen every day, trade deadline dash, and comment anything below. Let us know, should the Mavericks trade for Kyrie Irving? Let us know. Joining me, as always, my co-host contributor at Mavs.com, the Kyrie Irving irritant, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
There's so much stuff. You know, we're recording this at 2:41 Central Time. There's still tweets firing off on our phones right now.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. If you watched the show yesterday, you might have been planning to watch us on Bleacher Report app at 3 p.m. That got pushed to 5 p.m. Central Time.
Come on, Kyrie.
On Friday, because of the Kyrie news, they're doing some net stuff before us. So we'll be live on there, 5, literally just talking Mavs all day, feels like. But man, Kyrie, who's the first reporter that comes out? Is it Windhorse?
Shams. I saw Shams first.
I've been hearing grumblings, you know, that Kyrie could be asking. This came out of nowhere. It's for, you know, the past. What do you mean?
They didn't come out of nowhere.
They've been playing really well. I feel like I just read an article.
No, there was the Haynes article a couple weeks ago where he was like, yeah, you know, look, we got to if they don't get a deal done, then we don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie. And guess what? We never know what's going to happen with Kyrie Irving.
That's true. I'm just saying, of all the names everybody's been speculating about, Kyrie Irving has not been one of those names because they've been playing well.
It should always be. You never.
But they've been playing well. He was named an all-star starter.
He doesn't care about that.
I know he doesn't, but I'm just saying that part, it came out of nowhere. It's not like an OG or Siakam or any of these big names have asked out. So the fact that now it's back in the forefront and now there's some teams listed of who could chase him, and it's just, man, it's the start of trade season, baby. It's the week of. Let's do this.
We got a week till the trade deadline. And so let's get into it. Should the Dallas Mavericks consider a trade for Kyrie Irving? They should consider it. The tweets are flying. The tweets are flying right now. We are recording this live, and so there's a bunch of stuff. The Mavericks are reportedly interested or have expressed interest in the past in Kyrie Irving, according to Woj, Tim McMahon, and they want to get somebody for Luka. You got to be able to find a star for Luka, and stars don't just become available. And Kyrie is very available, right? Like, it would not take a lot to go get Kyrie Irving right now, which is one of the reasons why.
His availability traded, and now his availability on the court, that's a different thing. But
he's been available so far this season. He's played a lot, but like, to go get him, it wouldn't take a lot. Like, I started putting together some deals, and I was like, you know, Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway, and like, maybe a first. Like, maybe you don't have to even put a first in the deal because the Nets would just want something. The whole reason why Kyrie is kind of threatening this right now is because he can be a free agent this offseason. And he's threatening to leave for nothing. And he'll just leave the Nets because they haven't wanted to give him a long-term deal. It's almost the same situation with the Mavs and Christian Wood, right? Where the Mavs are not thinking about signing him to a long-term deal. If Christian Wood doesn't want to take like a 2-year deal, then he may leave in the offseason for nothing. So the Mavs and Nets are just like kind of looking back and forth at the same thing, trying to figure out, all right, how can we get something for this guy?
Well, the first question we have to have answered, which we feel like we know the answer to, though, is what is Brooklyn prioritizing? Where is KD's head at? Because if it is, this is the first domino of, all right, we're going to tear it down, then some of these other packages, like a Pelicans package with picks or the Lakers package of Westbrook and the 2 first, you know, those are probably more appealing packages. But if they look at it and say, we're paying Ben Simmons a crap ton of money, KD is committed, for now, whatever.
We think
KD's committed and we want to win now. We're one of the top teams in the East. We want to continue a title chase this year. Then that's where Phoenix and the Mavs and, maybe another team could throw out some win now players in air quotes. That's where a package for, like what Dallas could have of like a Christian Wood and Tim Hardaway and something else, or, Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie would equal, money wise, Dinwiddie going back to Brooklyn. Oof. Like both of those, because then at that point, it's like, who's running point for Brooklyn if they want to point back? Dinwiddie and Christian Wood is a pretty good consolation prize for if you're going to lose Kyrie for nothing this summer. So that's the question I'm really intrigued by. Chris Haynes had a tweet a little bit ago about, Phoenix could give them something where both teams could stay competitive or chasing a championship. So if that's the route, I think Dallas and Phoenix will have a good shot at it if Dallas wants to do it.
Should Dallas want to do it though? Because with Kyrie, the next question is, okay, so what does Brooklyn want? That's kind of the first question. And if it's a deal that you're like, all right, we can stomach that. If they just want to get some players to continue to win now, you do the Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway Jr., maybe throw in a first or something, and you're like, all right, give them add some value to those players and send it. Then the next question becomes, okay, well then, are the Mavericks going to commit to Kyrie Irving, and should they? And what is it with Kyrie? It's because with Kyrie, it's not a 1-to-1. Okay, can we give up the value that this team is asking for, and will this player fit on our roster? Player would fit on the roster. It'd be incredible with Luka and Kyrie. That's the number one offense in the NBA. Like very, very easily, I think, because of Kyrie Irving's ability to shoot like off of Luka passes, his ability to get his own shot. Like that would just be an incredible tandem. Then the question becomes, though, do the Mavericks want to commit to it? It's not a 1-to-1 thing. All of a sudden it becomes, there's like a third dimension and a fourth dimension of, well, is Kyrie going to commit to you? Kyrie's a flight risk, right? Like Kyrie Irving is not going to, he doesn't just come to a team, you sign him to a 4-year deal and are like, okay, we signed you to the deal you wanted. And then he's going to stay the whole time and play the whole time. And there's way more questions to be asked. And there's a different dimension to this than, does the player fit? Can the Mavericks pay the cost that the Nets are asking?
Yeah. I mean, on the court, I'm fine with it on the court. I think it'd be great. I mean, we've been asking for another, I'm much more willing to commit to another guard backcourt mate instead of, looking around and paying a Rudy Gobert, at center and stuff like that. I want to see what a running mate next to Luka in the backcourt looks like. We've also seen Kyrie win on the biggest stage. He's won a title. We've also seen him play with a guy like Luka in LeBron. Yeah. And, a big playmaking forward, bigger body like that.
Playing with KD right now. I mean,
yeah. So it's like, he's playing with KD. He's played with LeBron. He's played with stars before. He knows how to do that. He knows how to win a title. He's been playing well. I mean, he's an all-star starter. I know there's a lot of fans behind that, but he has been playing well as of late. Nets have been playing well. It's all about the off the court stuff.
Yes.
I mean, the dude is, how can we?
Magic Johnson has spoken. He's weighed in on this. I know that you're waiting on. Personally, I'd love to see Kyrie in the purple and gold. That's
no way.
Magic Johnson has spoken on Twitter.
Did you see Magic's tweet after the Lakers refereeing thing the other night? They were screwed. Like, all right, come on. But it's all about the off the court stuff. Do you want to commit to a guy that's saying the things that he said earlier this season, that has he got suspended for this stuff? Like, when you bring a guy like that to your organization, then you're kind of endorsing him in a way. And I don't know. Then you get into the whole.
That's that's the fourth dimension. The flight risk thing is the third dimension I was talking about. So the first one is, will the player fit? Check that one. Second dimension is
checked.
Do you have the stuff to pay for it? Probably. Probably check.
Yeah. Things to pay for him. Check. Relationships. Check. Nico Harrison has a relationship with him. Jason Kidd has a relationship with him. Like, the relationships are there, so you can check that off.
Yeah.
Now
the next one is will he stay? Like will he stay, and do you want to commit to him long term? That's the other one. And then the other one is like, do you want to have this player be somebody that you're endorsing and bring in as like, this player would be, I mean, we've been waiting for this next star for a while, like years, like the KP.
Kyrie walks in, he's like, Luka, I love your tattoo on your arm.
I'm here for it.
The all-seeing eye.
But do you want that? And that's something the Dallas Mavericks are going to have to answer, because I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're into that. I'm trying to imagine a team where
if they're into.
I'm trying to imagine a team where Mark Cuban owns the team and Kyrie Irving is one of the players, and that relationship goes well for an extended period of time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's another question. Like two big personalities, two maybe diametrically opposed viewpoints on things. Like I just don't know how that would go off. They would obviously have to. This would be a move that have to be signed off on every single front, right? Every front on the Mavericks, from front office to Luka to Mark Cuban to Jason Kidd. Like just the four brain trust of the Mavericks at this point now. Who's the first one that doesn't sign off on it? I feel like Luka would be fine. I feel like Jason Kidd would definitely sign off on it. He's sick of this roster. Nico Harrison, maybe. And then it comes down to Mark Cuban like it always does.
Dirk? No.
Dirk's in there. Dirk's probably fine in it too. Maybe. I don't know about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's one hand, like, yes, if they trade for him today, tonight, or tomorrow, then you have your second guy next to Luka, and we're going to talk all about the on-court fit and all of that.
Your team becomes so different.
Hopefully you all know by now how we feel about him off the court. And there's so much drama. There's so much stuff that's jacked up that he said that I just don't care for any of that. So it'd be really weird to like cover him in that because it's like, all right, let's talk about your sweet game next to Luka and all of that. Yeah. I have no interest in covering him off the floor at all. But
we would have to, like, something else is going to happen. It always does.
Imagine us having to go live. It's like Kyrie's live on Instagram. That's part of our show tonight.
Yep, we'd have to. And every Mavericks fan, like if you're a Mavericks fan, you're signing up for the whole thing, right? Like you're signing up for the live Instagrams where you're going to watch them and see what he says and hold your breath and all that kind of stuff. But
let me say this though. And this isn't really directly, and this is kind of directed with Kyrie, but this year is where we see if the Nico thing pays off, right? Like Nico wasn't hired because of his GM chops. Like Nico wasn't hired for his resume and front offices and wheeling and dealing and, all the, tax stuff and all that. No, Nico was hired because of relationships and, relationships around the league. So whether it's Kyrie or whoever it is, it's the Nico relationships that we're going to look at and saying, all right, we hired Nico to get Luka Doncic a second star.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, if you want to boil it down to something.
Yeah.
And it's like, what relationship can he play to bring in a guy? And if he brings in Kyrie, then that's kind of like what he was hired for, right? Like that's a relationship. And if Kyrie wants to sign up for long term in Dallas, then that's a lot to do with Nico's ongoing relationship with him.
And if they trade for him and they don't have to give up a lot of firsts, you still have some ammo in the tank. Like they probably won't have to give up Josh Green. Like they might not.
I'm not giving up first for Kyrie. I'm sorry.
So if they don't have to do that, then all of a sudden you can make another move. So you can get off the Tim Hardaway contract, possibly, the Christian Wood thing, you get something back for him. And then even if Kyrie leaves, like at least you still have some stuff to go make another move. So this is this is a very interesting question as to, all right, would you make this deal? Okay, well, if you do, you get a player at a premium price because you don't have to give up a lot for him because he's a flight risk and for all the reasons we just said. Is it worth it though? That's the question.
Okay, so let's enter into this realm. We've talked about Kyrie, Dallas, Brooklyn, iterations of that deal, whatever. Let's talk about Dallas being involved with this as a third team, because there's some ways that Dallas gets involved into the Kyrie sweepstakes as a third team. So I think there's a very clear Nets, Mavs, Lakers, way for this, because we all know the Lakers are going to be interested in this deal or in trying to get Kyrie, to where could all three parties get involved with this? Kyrie goes to LA, Westbrook and a first round pick goes to Dallas, Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway, whatever goes to Brooklyn. I could see that framework being a framework of something that you're looking at saying, all right, Kyrie gets to go. That in that scenario, Kyrie's kind of dictating, where he wants to go. If he's wanting to go to LA, it's like, hey, I'll re-sign there and all that stuff. Then, yeah, that's a framework of a deal.
The third party one is interesting because Mavericks have a couple of things they can give. Phoenix is being very put in this a lot, and so maybe a Chris Paul scenario emerges. Feels like the Nets would have to get Chris Paul back, but maybe there's something else the Mavericks can get involved with that.
I sent you one too that is, that's involving the Heat. The Heat was thrown around by Shams or somebody about being serious suitors. Is there a world that they hop in? Kyrie and Bertans goes to Miami. Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson goes to Dallas, and Tim Christian Wood and a Miami first goes to Brooklyn. So for Dallas, you would be swapping out, Bertans for Duncan Robinson, and then you'd be swapping out Christian Wood and Tim Hardaway for Kyle Lowry. I'm interested
in that.
I'm interested in it. I'm not, jumping for joy.
Taking back the Duncan Robinson contract is tough, but at least you're getting off both Tim and Davis. So
I was gonna say, I think we would all trade Davis for Duncan Robinson straight up right now, right? I would.
I think so. Duncan has an extra year. Duncan has an extra year on the deal. Duncan's
be like 40.
Yeah, Duncan's a better player than Davis right now, probably. But I don't know. It's the extra year is.
The Pelicans one's weird to me. I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a player option. I'm sorry. It's a player option for Duncan Robinson at $19.8 million in 2025. Okay. I think I'd rather just get off and Duncan's deal is a little bit bigger than Bertans. I'd rather just get off it early, I think.
Yeah, the Pelicans one's weird. Unless CJ is in the deal, I don't really see it. That'd be kind of tough for CJ. Yeah. But CJ might like going to Brooklyn, and CJ and some picks or whatever for Kyrie. It's such a weird spot for Brooklyn because they're a win now team. They obviously have KD. He's going to leave for nothing this offseason. I guess you could call his bluff this offseason and say, hey, you can't go if you want to go to one of these teams, you have to do a signing trade. But if you're Brooklyn, let's think about Dallas for a second though. Let's think about their lineups. Let's say Dallas did do some iteration of Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway. Would you do it if Josh was in the deal?
I don't know if I'd do it if they got him for free. That's a question.
I know.
That's a question I'm still asking. But all right, let's say.
Let's just say that.
Let's say hypothetically, I would trade for Kyrie in all the iterations. I would give up Josh Green for him. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's say it's Josh, Christian Wood, Tim. Now look at the Mavs lineup. It's Luka, Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
Reggie,
Bullock and Dorian again. The Bang Bros.
And Maxey or Dwight.
Bang Bros. Trying to keep
it. There's probably still have to make another deal somewhere on the roster to either bring in another big.
Still need a center. That's still a problem. It's gonna be a problem still.
Yeah. Dinwiddie moves to the bench. Yeah.
Yeah, Dinwiddie moves to the bench like that. I think that's fine. That works for him.
Yeah,
he can play he played with Luka and Brunson at the same time. All three of those guys can play, and all iterations of those three guys can all play together. I'm fine with that. They're not. It's not good defensively. You're gonna have to figure out. You have to go find a really good defensive center. This is one of those deals where maybe. All right, now you go out and trade all the picks for DeAndre Ayton, or somebody like that. Maybe you do that deal at a certain point if you're going to make this deal. But
so what if they did the other route? And what if they're like, all right, what if Spencer's very clear with them? I don't want to go back to a bench role. I'd rather go back to Brooklyn if they're talking to him about it. And let's say it's Dinwiddie and Christian Wood for Kyrie. No picks, nothing else. So you still have Tim, you still have Josh. Along with everything else you have.
This is hilarious after the crunch time that Dinwiddie had last night.
I know. I'm just saying, if it's that, because that's probably one of the better win now type of moves for Brooklyn, right? I guess CJ would be better.
I don't think that's happening. Is that better than Chris Paul?
I don't know. That's intriguing.
That is interesting.
But
would you do it? Would you do it if Dinwiddie is in it at all?
Yeah, there's a world. I'd be.
What's the world? Put the trade together.
I would be really I would be really intrigued by the Dinwiddie Christian Wood if it meant something else, like, because then you still have Tim and Josh. You still have Tim, Josh, Reggie, Dorian, Maxey, Dwight, all those guys.
I just imagine the Kyrie, Tim Hardaway Jr. backcourt.
No, but then could you go out and try to flip Tim for another ball handler? Could you try to call up Charlotte and pull off the Terry Rozier trade? Could you try to do something like, could you try to flip Tim somewhere else, get a third ball handler, keep Josh? Okay, let me boil it down this way. If you can go get Kyrie without giving up your first or Josh, are you doing it?
I think if you're the Mavericks, I think you kind of have to, right?
I think I'm with you.
I think you kind of. What other options? What options are you going to have? And we don't know this whole season. Even back when Brunson was gone, even back when Brunson was still on the team, we knew that they have to make a big deal. When their picks become available, they have to make a big deal. They have to go get a star for Luka to be able to compete. He's ready to compete now. This is an option for you to go get that star and possibly go get another one later if you don't have to give up picks.
That's what I'm saying.
Right into your lap.
You'd still, if you could do it while still getting the picks. We all know how much players love Kyrie around the league.
They do.
Then you kind of have this like 3-punch thing to other players of, we have an MVP guy, we have a Kyrie who a lot of you guys love, and a lot of you guys know Nico Harrison. I wouldn't consider Jason Kidd part of that pitch, but I would say those 3 things.
Kyrie helped run Steve Nash out of town, right? Like he's not going to be shy about if Jason Kidd does stuff that he doesn't care for.
It's so hard to. Yeah, I don't want to go down that road anymore.
I just try to imagine Sint Marshall and Kyrie trying to have a conversation. Sint Marshall, the president of the Mavericks, who really signed off on Jason Kidd. That was the whole thing. Remember when Jason Kidd was about to be hired, and she was somebody that had to sit down, talk with Jason Kidd about his past, domestic violence and all that stuff, and she signed off on him. And so that, I think that may have to happen, but I don't know if it can happen because all that stuff happens so quickly.
I think Sant would definitely have to sign off on that because he's such a he's arguably the most polarizing player in the whole NBA. So our YouTube comments right now are probably insane. I mean, there's probably people saying y'all are stupid. This is a home run. You go get him.
I posted a poll on our community tab. Go vote on it right now. Posted it 53 minutes ago. It's got a ton of votes already. 64% go get him. 36% stay far away. Don't get them. And then I posted another post and it's got over 100 comments that are like split down the middle. Stay away from this guy.
Just in the small sample size of the text messages I got after the news drop, I got one person who texted me and said, please keep Kyrie far away from Dallas. I had another person text me and said, in all caps, we have to go get Kyrie. And it's like, that's the type of stuff. That's the ballpark that you're going to be in the Kyrie Irving experience. But you can't. That's the thing. It's weird. You can't guarantee if he's just going to leave the team and be gone for a while.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee if he's going to say something stupid and get suspended.
Yep.
You can't guarantee if he's going to be like fully healthy either because he's had some health problems. But if he's on the floor, your ceiling is much higher. And if you can pull off some combination of still keeping your shooters and perimeter defenders while pairing a healthy Kyrie Irving with Luka, and you have a third ball handler, like that's the recipe that you go to the finals.
Let us know in the comment section below. Would you trade for Kyrie Irving for the Dallas Mavericks? Why would you avoid it? Let us know in the comment section below. Again, we will be back every single day with a trade deadline dash episode. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Log On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.